Hey everyone, and welcome to the final video in my Frosthaven First Impressions series, where I'm going through all of the starting classes in Frosthaven, comparing them to some of the starting classes in Gloomhaven and some of the other classes a little bit too, and also talking about the strength, the weaknesses, the difficulty level, those sorts of things as just a first impression sort of talking head piece. If you want to see any of the videos from the other classes, you can click on my channel below and you'll find those. If you do like the content, please do like this video and subscribe. It really helps me a lot. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into it. Okay, so the Necromancer is the last class to look at here. We got 12 cards, which is good, which is the highest that you can get apart from the Geminate class. And health wise, looks like we've got we're pretty weak. This is definitely at the low end, so yep, we're not a very strong character health wise. So let's get into the cards. Necromancer, I'm expecting to see some sort of summons, you'd think. Okay, I will say that the name of the Necromancer is a little bit odd to me, the class name Necromancer. It's a bit weird. Gloomhaven's always been very good at having like unique class names and things like that, and the fact that this is just called the Necromancer is kind of like, you know, it's a very like stereotypical class, and Gloomhaven's always been really great at having kind of slightly different names for things and just a slight spin on your traditional kind of class types and names and things. So yeah, I mean, Necromancer, I think we know what we're in store for here. Okay, so we've got no tooltips or anything like that. We're just straight into the cards, no special rules cards. So we've got Damned Horde, which is a summon, Shambling Skeleton, nice. Summon's got 3 health, 2 movement, and 2 attack, which that is like, that's fine. Like, that's not it's nothing particularly great, but that's, you know, that's fine stats for a summon. Like for a level 1 summon, that's pretty fine. Suffer 2 damage. Okay, so it's going to hurt us to summon this. We get 1 XP and it goes out, but it's not a burn card, which is interesting. So it's not a loss card. So traditionally, summons in Gloomhaven have always been loss cards. There was no way to get them back unless you use other cards to get back lost cards. So it's interesting that this is one that's going to stick around for a while. This suffer 2 damage though is kind of, you know, a bit of a drawback on playing it. So it's not like, you know, you do have to be wary of it. You can't just kind of constantly play them. And I can maybe see a situation when you've got, you know, 2 health and you wouldn't be able to maybe summon this. So yeah, but for stats for a summon, you know, this is pretty vanilla. This is pretty bang on. Like, it's not good, it's not bad. The fact that then it's a melee summon does mean that it's probably more likely to sort of get chewed up by an enemy. But then perhaps if this was to eat an attack or 2, that would be good. You know, save maybe some of your other characters some damage. But the suffer 2 damage here kind of negates that slightly. You know, it kind of negates the fact that this thing is going to be taking some damage for you. Okay, the bottom of this is Curse, range 2, target 2. Nice. Okay, I like that. I think Curse is something that in Gloomhaven they didn't use a lot to begin with. There are some characters that you unlock later on that deal a lot more with curses, and curses sort of come into the game a lot more, and certain enemies as well would deal a lot of curses. I like the curse as an effect. I think my only kind of negative on this is that it doesn't do any damage, so it is you're literally just cursing, which it can be useful. It's a useful thing to do for your team, but the fact that there isn't like a little attack or something tagged onto the bottom of this stops it from being like really good. You know, it's a fine effect. I'll be interested to see if there's other ways that we could add even more curses, because curses, there's definitely like a critical mass you want to kind of get to with curses, where you want to get to a certain point where you're you're really filling up the enemy deck, you know, and it's becoming really hard for them to land an attack because you just keep cursing them, and there's just so many curses, you know, and then that's when it gets really good. If you only just add 2 curses and then you never add any more curses, you know, they may never come up, so it can be a very marginal effect. But if you can stack this, so if you can stack cursing, then I'm a big fan of it. So yeah, got some potential, but I kind of wish that there was a little damage on there to make it really good. Okay, we've got exactly the same. So we've got Summon Shambling Skeleton. This could be quite a quick video if I can do several cards at once. So yeah, pretty similar. Suffer 2 damage again, 1 XP. The bottom of this is move 4. Love move 4. Excellent. I feel like this is probably I think I'm much more likely to probably keep the move 4 and summon these other skeletons, I think, that we've got here. This is one of the ones that I'd be liking to play the bottom of, probably. But non-burn again, so it's not like we're going to lose it forever, so there may be situations where maybe we could get all 3 of these guys out, who knows. So yeah, we've got Life and Death, which is another skeleton again, but this one has a persistent ability on the bottom, which is the next 3 times you suffer damage, ignore the damage. Oh, cool. All right, this is nice. So this is a way that you can stop the damage from summoning the other skeletons. I like that. That's cool. That kind of that's pretty thematic. I like that. That's like a nice thing. It stops this from happening. You can kind of, like, I feel like you'd probably want to take some damage by summoning skeletons to begin with, and then when you've sort of taken a little bit, you're like, okay, guys, I've lost quite a lot of health. I mean, you only start with 6 health, right? So you couldn't summon 3 skeletons because you're dead unless you somehow healed somewhere in between. So you couldn't just back-to-back summon skeletons, but maybe you could summon a couple, and then maybe you could slap this down, something like that. So yeah, I think this is nice, and this will certainly help you get these skeletons out, or perhaps even, you know, in a weird, in some kind of corner case scenario where you want to actually go in and tank for your team, you could just go in and negate 3 times of damage. You know, that could be game winning in certain situations. So this is a nice utility card. I like that it enables our other cards, and also I like the fact that it could actually have some sort of corner case, some kind of corner case use for helping your team out in a really difficult spot. So cool. Yeah, nice. Dark Tidings. 2 of your summoned allies may perform attack +0 with curse, and if we were to use a night element, we can add poison with you controlling the actions. Sweet. Really, this is cool. So like the kind of like the drawback, one of the main drawbacks of summons is the fact that because they follow the same kind of AI that the monsters do, the enemy monsters do on the board, they can sometimes find themselves in stupid positions. They can sometimes go after enemies that you don't want them to go after. Sometimes they can attack enemies that you don't want them to. Quite often they will just sort of fall behind or die. So being able to take some sort of action yourself to be able to control them a little bit more can sometimes be quite good. So so this is nice. I like this. The attack naught, it doesn't sound particularly interesting, but if you think about it, they're already kind of attacking for 2 on their own turn, so it's kind of like you're getting like an extra attack. So the way you can see this is that this is basically like attack 2. What would be interesting to see whether or not it's actually worth upgrading these summons with enhancements. I can see here that they've got enhancements, so that's something to think about for the future. I mean, the cost of an enhancement on a summon is really quite substantial in Gloomhaven. I don't know if they're going to change that potentially. But yeah, I don't mind this. The curse, it's basically like an attack 2 with curse, and then you may be able to add a poison. So it's like 2 things attack. So essentially you're doing like an attack 4, 2 curses, potentially 2 lots of poison. I like it. I think it's pretty good. I think it's a nice effect. If you can get the poison, I do think this is the kind of thing where you want to hold off for the poison if you can. Let's see. I can see here in the corner of my eye that we have a way of making the nighttime element, so let's have a look and see if we can do that. Oh, there you go, on the bottom of this card. So we can move 3 and we can make nighttime element. Unfortunately, we can't use this together. That's a bit of a shame, unless we were to use this, then short rest, I guess, to get this card back, or use some sort of stamina potion or something like that. That could work, but probably not really how it's going to go down. Yeah, so move 3, make knight. I like these kinds of things because you're doing something and you're making an element that hopefully is going to benefit you on your next turn. So I like classes that can be self-sufficient with their elements. If you have a class that you struggle with that, like you either don't make them yourself or you have kind of fiddly ways to make them. I think the Geminate's a good example of a class that does have ways to make the elements that they need to do their really powerful things, but it's not easy. The setup is a bit cumbersome, you know, it's not easy. It's not just like flat you're going to get to do it every time, and it's kind of got a little bit of a drawback. It's not the cleanest way of doing it, whereas this is extremely clean. You can see what's going to happen here, you know what's going to happen, really. You know, you can plan on this happening consistently. So yeah, I like it. I think the top of this is pretty strong. It'll be interesting to see if we get even more powerful summons as we go. I presume we probably will, seeing as that's kind of our shtick. But it'll be interesting to see what we can do with this, and whether or not this actually gets even more powerful the more powerful summons we get. Okay, Ritual Dagger. Attack 3 with poison and make leaf. I mean, that's, again, I like this kind of thing because you're just making attack 3 is nice, poison is a good effect, and you're making, you know, this is very similar to poison, I think, is it like poison dart or something, poison bolt, which is a tinker ability, which was like attack, I think it's just like an attack 3 with poison, or attack 2. Toxic Bolt is what it was called. I think it's like attack 2 with poison and make leaf element. But that was a really useful little cards to play. This is a melee attack, so it's a bit, you know, you are quite a weak character, so it's going to be trickier to pull off, especially on an initiative of 46. You know, you could be in harm's way. You might want to pair this late with something and then go early on the following turn, maybe to get out of harm's way. But this is a nice effect, and this will help enable probably maybe yourself or with another class maybe. So I like this. The only thing that's a little bit of a drawback with this is that your summons go before you, so you know your summons aren't going to get the benefit of you adding that poison effect. It's going to be the next turn. You know, it's going to be another turn before the poison's really going to kick in, unless of course you have an ally helping you out and also attacking. So the bottom of this one is all summoned allies may perform move +0, attack +0 with you controlling the actions. Suffer 2 damage. Nice. So again, we get to use our summons. This one's even better because we get to use all of our summons. So, you know, at the moment we've seen 3, so there may be potential that we have 3 or maybe even 4, I don't know, we'll see. But that seems pretty good. It's not a huge effect. The fact that it's a burn card is a little bit disappointing, because then, you know, it really feels like you're going to have to wait for a good opportunity where you do have maybe your 3 summons out and you really need them to go. It's not going to be something that we can, because we can't recur it, it's a little bit awkward. But I think this is nice, and I like the idea of you being able to control your summons a little bit more, because that always felt a little bit funky in Gloomhaven, that they kind of went off and did their own thing. They would often fall behind, they would often attack the wrong targets, like I said. So there was one class in Gloomhaven that, I'm not going to spoil anything, but there was one class in Gloomhaven that is pretty similar to this so far, and you could tell that was sort of like their intent, that sort of thing. So yeah, 2 XP. I mean, it's going to be a free 2 XP pretty much, you know. So in terms of XP generation, this character looks like they're going to level pretty quick. I mean, like, if you can play these multiple times, you're just going to be, you know, I know that you suffer the 2 damage, but if you've got ways of stopping that, it's going to be really good. So yeah, I think this is fine. If you can get, you know, 3 things to attack, you got these guys, you know, you're looking at 2, 4, potentially 6 sort of damage, and movement will allow them to get into the right positions that you want them to be. So yeah, this is solid. I'm a bit disappointed that this was a burn. I kind of hope that we have almost like a smaller effect of this, maybe like 1 summoned ally may perform move and attack, and then it wouldn't be a burn. I think that would be a nice effect to maybe have. So let's press on and we'll see if we get something like that. So transfer of essence, heal 6. It's a big old heal, especially at level 1. That's huge. I mean, that's all of our health, you know, and I say the most amount of health I believe anyone has at starting is 10, so that's a lot of health. Affect one ally within range 2. Range 2 is you know, it's fine. Like, it's nothing great. Range 2 might mean that you have to move to actually get this to happen, depending on where you are on the board, but range 3 is like where I'm at with heals. Range 3 on heals generally seems to get everything that you ever want in Gloomhaven. Range 2 will mean that possibly you might have to move around a little bit. You suffered 2 damage yourself, but I like, you know, I kind of like the theme of this character, that they're taking damage, this sort of transfer of essence. I like the idea that you're kind of, your life force is kind of going out of you. You're almost using a part of yourself, right, as you're kind of creating these summons, and you're sort of transferring your energy to other allies. I really like, thematically, that's cool. Like, it makes a lot of sense, and I think it's a cool decision. It's a cool decision. So 1 XP, and we make the nighttime element. Suffer 2 damage. It's not a burn, which is interesting. So this character, that's really quite strong. If we have a way of kind of mitigating this suffer 2 damage, you know, fairly consistently, this is an amazing support card. This is an incredible support card. I'm just thinking, like, if you could manage to get yourself something like regenerate, so you just like hang around at the back with regenerate, which means that you get to gain 1 health beginning of your turn. You know, you take a heal 1 action at the beginning of your turn every single turn, and that token stays there until you take damage. You could essentially, I wonder if it would be removed. It would probably be removed, wouldn't it, actually, when you take the damage from this? Yeah. I'm not exactly sure if regenerate is combat damage or if it's just any damage. I would assume it's probably any damage, so maybe not quite as good. But yeah, I was thinking that would be pretty broken, that you could just sit at the back with regenerate on, and essentially you could just heal 6 constantly, and every 2 turns you replenish your health. No, maybe not quite as good as that, but still, if we have a way of mitigating this, then this is excellent. Really, really strong support card. Really, really strong, which is nice because we haven't actually had, we've had a couple of the characters have a few little heal cards, and they haven't felt like dedicated supports. It's kind of interesting because in Gloomhaven you do have a couple of characters that are sort of dedicated support type characters, but the character design has always been very clever so that you're not one-dimensional as a character. Like, all of the characters, you know, they have elements to them and they can be played in different ways. But looking at some of the classes, I think maybe the Drifter was one that did have some heals in there. A lot of the other characters had some sort of heals that they could either heal themselves, or they had ways that they could heal small amounts of healing, but there wasn't any character that had like lots of reoccurring heals, you know, and that was clearly a focus of their character. So this is a really nice reoccurring heal. But yeah, very, very strong, very strong. The bottom is strengthen. Affect 1 ally within range 3. If we spend a nighttime element, we can affect 1 additional ally. It's just a nice little bit of upside. Poison. Target 1 enemy within range 3. And spend green to target 1 additional enemy. Oh, this is super cool. Okay. Wow. So in theory, we could do something like, we could poison quite a lot of people with this, because, you know, we could do this to poison something on 1 turn, and then on the following turn we could in theory use this element and we could poison 2 other things. I really like the idea of poison on this character too, because you have summons, and summons are the things that benefit the most from poison. In my opinion, like, because summons just have they usually have a very low base attack, so they're the things that really benefit, and doing multiple attacks really benefit from poison. So being able to poison stuff and then have your summons go in and smash, I think that's really cool. And the strengthen thing, I think it's okay, especially like if you've got, you know, an ally who's, you know, added a lot of blesses to their deck. You know, if bless comes in and you feel like you can, you know, you've got an ally and they've got an extremely good combat deck, then this could work really well. I don't think you'd be using Strengthen on your own summons, unless we'll take a look at the end of the video at the actual perks, but if your perks don't give yourself one, I think you know, like, because it says affect one ally, so in theory you could choose a skeleton, a summon, as an ally. You just can't choose yourself, but the skeleton uses your deck, so you would, in theory, you know, you'd be strengthening them, but they would be drawing from your deck, if that makes sense. So if you've got a very strong combat deck, then they can use that. But I like this poison. I think this is a nice thing. I think it's fairly easy to do, and it helps set you up. Alright, so let's go to Flow of the Black River. So we've got heal, X +1 self, where X is the number of your summoned allies. Brilliant. Okay, so this is like the way that we get the health back. So super cool. I like this a lot. So let's say that we have 2 summons out. That means that we would heal ourselves for 3 here, which is really nice, because we basically would have taken 4 damage from summoning them, because it's 2 damage each, and we would then get that back. So I like it. I think this is definitely a card that is going to be necessary. We are going to need this card to stay alive, and it's going to be necessary for our strategy. So yeah, this is good to see. This gives me a bit more confidence that we can mitigate that suffer 2 damage and all of these sort of damage effects. We can kind of mitigate them in a decent way. Again, we'd have to be a bit careful with how we play this. This is a low initiative, 27. It's like on the lower end. So there's a good chance that we can hopefully go early. Like maybe we summon a couple of we do our summons over a couple of turns, and then we play this and we go early, hopefully so that our summons get to take a turn, and also we get the they stay alive for us to get the heal effect. So yeah, nice. Looks like a necessary card for us. The bottom is move 6 and make the nighttime element, and it's a burn. I think that's fine. Like, it's you know, at some point in the game, probably towards the end, you're going to want to move 6 because you want to get that treasure chest, or you know, you're going to want to position yourself away from some enemies, or you know, there is something that you need to do. So I think you're going to be wanting to use the top of this card most of the time, and this is definitely going to be like a rotation. I can feel yourself getting into a bit of a rhythm here, where you know, you summon something, you heal, you do this, you heal. So this is definitely a card that's going to be played for its top loads, and it's a strong enough top, and it's a needed top that you can kind of ignore this until it becomes relevant. And the fact it makes a nighttime element too is going to be really great, because you know, you're going to potentially need that to buff up one of these other cards for a big effect maybe later. So yeah, it's cool. Very solid card. It's going to be a necessary role player, I think, for this character. So Fel Remedy, heal 2, affect 1 ally within range 3. We can do +2 heal with Night, +2 heal with Leaf, with Earth. So yeah, I think this is nice. It's a nice little heal. It removes things like poison. I think you're probably going to be, I would be here with this. I think, unless you just specifically wanted to remove poison from a character or wounds because they were in trouble, I think you're probably aiming for this every time, right? But I mean, certainly you've got ways of making this element too. It's interesting that you don't get an XP for this. It's that they've sort of chosen this, that you get an XP for that. So obviously this is the one you want to try and go for. But I think in general, this is probably going to end up being a heal 4 most of the time. Probably not going to end up being a heal 6 unless you can really set things up in a nice way. It's probably going to be a heal 4, or it's going to be a heal 2 because you just want to help a friend out who's got poison, or perhaps you need to heal yourself so that you can summon another. Oh no, you can't summon you. Sorry, affect 1 ally, not yourself. So you can't heal yourself. So on 21 as well, 21's good initiative for heal. You always want low initiatives for heal because you want to kind of either go early because you've taken damage on the previous round, or you could then pair it with a late card if you were like preempting some damage potentially. So yeah, if you were sort of thinking, okay, this round someone's going to get hurt, let's play it late, so you could pair it with a late card. But I like to have the actual heal on a low initiative to allow you to go early if you need to. Okay, the next time an enemy dies this round, immediately perform heal 3 self. Okay, so there's another way that we can heal ourselves. I like that. I like that idea that we're kind of like we're almost like sucking their essence, so we're kind of gathering their essence. That's pretty cool. It's just the next time an enemy dies, so we can only heal a maximum of 3 essentially. So this doesn't stack multiple times if you were to kill lots of different enemies, because that's what it says the next time. So hopefully you can set this up in a nice way. I like it. This is just basically the heal card, right? You're either gonna, I quite like the idea that you could play this because maybe it's a bit of a hedge card, so you could play this maybe at the end of a round and then see where you're at, you know. Oh, okay, my ally needs a heal, let's heal them. Or you could be like, actually, I'm gonna heal. Importantly, you couldn't do this, you'd have to go early to make this work, because actually, yeah, you couldn't go late if you wanted to play the bottom of this card, because unless you yourself were planning on killing something, it's unlikely that it would trigger. So also, you play after your summons, so it's not, you know, you have to bear in mind that the summons go, then you, so this wouldn't happen. Unearthed Horror. Summon Raging Corpse. Oh no. It's got 6 health, that's huge, that's really good. 3 attack, that's good too. But only 1 movement, which 1 movement is a killer. That is absolutely garbage. Even 1 movement will essentially mean this does nothing. So you know, after your first room, it's basically just going to be like just an annoying token that you're going to have to shift around the board. So we do have ways of moving, so that's true. However, all of the movements that we've seen so far are just move, you know, +0, right? So it's just going to move its own movement, so you could move it 1. This kills this to me. I mean, there's going to be situations when you can play this and you wait until a room like floods with enemies perhaps, and you play this, and it's going to be good, and it'll be good for 1 room, but it's certainly not a summon that you want to play early. It's going to be a summon that you're going to drop just at the right time. You know, you're going to have to time when you're going to want to summon this guy. It's not going to be, you know, it's not going to be like you're playing the Spellweaver in Gloomhaven, where it's kind of like, okay, just get the summons out. You know, even then they have like 2 movements. So, and if you've played that, you'll know that they do fall behind. So this is a really big problem. I would immediately want to upgrade this or enhance this to a +2, but even when it's a +2, that's kind of you know, that's still kind of slow, really. So let's hope we've got better ways of positioning this guy, because this, I say, this guy's going to need to come down at the right time in the right place to be effective. 2 XP, Leaf, and it's a lost card, so unlike the other summons, this one is just a 1-time summon. And that makes this 1 movement even worse, because this guy's going to come down 1 time and then that is it. So unless we've got a way of somehow getting this back again, you have to really pick when you're going to want to do it. So I'm hoping that the bottom of this is going to be better, so that we can at least get some sort of bonus from this card. So poison, target all enemies adjacent to one of your summoned allies. Cool. That's fine. That's fine. You know, as a bottom of a card, that's pretty good. If we were to say go really early, I know this is a very late initiative card, but let's say we went really early and we played this. Let's say we went with our heal card here, and we went maybe with this Flow of the Black River, and we went with this. You know, there's a good chance that we can actually poison a good number of enemies, just, you know, by one of our like skeletons if they've moved into a good position. So perhaps this could end up being like poison 2, poison 3. It's not an incredible effect, but it's like a solid effect, so this is fine. This is fine. Whether or not this bottom will be enough, you know, to kind of get us through when this, you know, is definitely a wait and see summon, I'm not too sure. The good news about this character though is that you have a lot of cards. You know, you could always just play this as a move 2 if you wanted to, or an attack 2. Yeah, I'm disappointed by the top of this card because unless we have a way of really making it good, I don't think it's great. But the bottom can be quite good. If you can poison 2 or 3 things, I think you're pretty happy, and that's helping your team out. You know, that's doing something proactive. So yeah, and you make the element you need. So hey. Malicious Conversion. Okay, so attack 4. If this attack kills the target, play a Summon Shambling Skeleton action from a card in your discard pile without suffering the damage. I like that. That's cool. That's cool. Love it. So it's kind of like you're killing him, and then from the bones of your slain enemy, the skeleton arises. I like it. It's cool. 1 XP, and you make both your elements that you use. That's cool. I like it. Attack 4 is it's a good attack. It's not a crazy attack. I think you would definitely want to find like a low health enemy to do this on. Like, it's almost like you want to definitely get the kill with this, right? That's how I feel about this. You want to get the kill, so I would be inclined to go after an enemy that's got like 3 health or 2-3 health with this card, just to like bam, get them dead, you know, unless you could be sure that you're going to do the damage. So I certainly wouldn't be going after, you know, I would be wanting to confidently get the killing blow with this card. I do believe you would get the XP and make the 2 elements though, even if you didn't kill the target. So you would still get this benefit. So this could still, you know, it may well be worth at some point just playing this attack to get the 1 XP and the 2 elements to help you do something else on another turn. But this is super thematic. I really like it. I think it's pretty strong too. Yeah, it's cool. I like it. Move 3 and then spend Earth to add another 2 moves. So move 5. So move 5 is very good. So this character is not going to struggle with movement by the looks of things. We've got a move 4 up on here. We've got move 3. This character looks like they're going to be able to move around a good amount. So they do have a couple of bottom actions though that just don't do anything. But, you know, they are a support character that sort of sits back, heals people, and, you know, they don't necessarily need to be in the thick of it. We do have a couple of melee attacks though, so, you know, when you have melee attacks, movement becomes way more important. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, this is nice. This is good. I think that this is like, you know, until you can do this is going to be really nice little kind of role player for you, this action. Eternal Torment. Okay, attack 1, range 5, and a curse. So this is like what I was saying before. I really wish that sometimes that they just, you know, just stick a little attack on there, which we didn't have on this one. So this was just range 2 target. I mean, this is 2 curses, so is an attack 1 better than a curse? Well, yes, because it's more proactive in my opinion. And depends on what you're attacking, right? In certain scenarios, it's not better. You know, if you're attacking shield 5 enemies, then certainly I will take the 2 curses over the attack 1. But I think, generally speaking, it is better than the curse 2. Generally. And the range is really long as well, so you can guarantee that you're going to hit something here. So Loot 1 rears its ugly head again. So I've said on the other videos how I really liked the change to the loot system, or the loot action, sorry. I do like the change to the loot system as well, but the change to the loot actions on cards, I really like the fact that they've been pairing loot with other little effects, like nothing like crazy, we're not talking about like crazy powerful effects, but just things that give you a little bit more value from taking the loot action, because in Gloomhaven it always feels a little bit bad to just sort of take a loot action. It's just kind of like a little bit like, oh well, I guess I loot. I mean, it feels good if you get loot, but it just, to me, it feels like you take 2 turns off to loot, which some players struggle with, because, you know, it speaks to a lot of players like, well, how do you do with loot? You know, they go, oh yeah, we get tons of loot. but they might fail lots of scenarios because they're getting carried away with looting. So it feels like looting is a real like tightrope to walk with Gloomhaven. Like, how much looting should you do? When is it a good time to loot? And over time and experience, you get better. But I liked the fact with the other classes so far we've seen, they've paired this loot action with something else, or they've moved it to the top of the card so you could move and loot in one turn. So loot 1, I'm not a fan of. It's a necessary evil. You will probably play with this card just to loot 1 in certain occasions, but I'm not a fan of the design of loot 1 as a solitary action. But people need that loot, so... Okay, so command the wretched. One of your summoned allies. Here we go. I said it would be nice if we had one. One of your summoned allies may perform move attack now with you controlling actions. This is exactly what I asked for. Perfect. Love it. So yeah, this is going to be really good. Just a way for you to stay away and get your summons to do more damage and stuff. Importantly, this will kind of help this Raging Corpse a little bit. I still because it's move 1. Because it's move 1, he's going to really struggle. So even if you move him again, I don't know. I really don't know. I think you're going to have to time when you play this summon so well. But this is cool. I like it. It's going to give us something to do on our turns. It also means that we can maybe like buff up one of our summons, you know, with enhancements and stuff. Like maybe if we made this guy super... you know, super good in other ways. I don't know if we can maybe get a +2 move. I mean, we've only ever usually get +1s for these enhancements, but who knows, maybe that might change. But this seems really cool. I like it. I think it's thematic and it works well. And then, one of your allies may perform attack 6, 1 XP and burn. Cool, okay. That's nice. That's very nice. The reason why they've done it like this, attack 6 rather than attack +4 or 3 or whatever, is because they don't want you to, you know, it needs to be set at 6. So it's an attack of 6. I'm guessing you could have, if they said done it as like attack 4, then it would be much better with this guy, or it would be better if we enhanced cards and things like that. So this kind of sets the power level of this effect. That's nice. It's a big attack. It's 1 XP and it's a burn. So you are going to have to choose when you want to do this wisely. I think the top of this card is something you're going to want to do fairly regularly. So this is okay. Yeah, this is a nice effect. For 1 XP and a burn, it's certainly balanced, you know, with the cost and the values on this card, I think. The only problem being that your ally must be in a good spot to already do it. But importantly, you could actually combo this with, I believe we have like this stuff. So we could, in theory, go a little bit crazy. You know, we could attack and then attack again. Like we've got a good potential because this is on the bottom of a card. We've got some good potential to have like a really high damage output turn, you know, when we want to really, you know, nuke down some kind of enemy. So or like a group of enemies that we need to kill quickly. So yeah, it's a nice effect. I like it. Wrath of the Turned Earth. One of your summoned allies may perform attack +1. Nice. And we can spend a leaf or earth element to add +1 attack and poison for an experience point. That's good. Like, this is, again, it's on the same kind of level as this. I think the movement is really where these summons fall down. Movement is where summons fall down. So without the movement on here, that's a little frustrating, but it does give us an extra point of attack. So if we plan this well, I think that you can get this off. It's a late initiative card, so it's going to make it trickier. You'd have to pair it probably with a low value card if you've got a very specific target in mind, because you don't want them to wander off and do their own thing, and then, you know, your summon goes and it wanders off in a different direction, and then it's not even facing the enemy that you want it to face. You know, it's not even attacking the enemy that you want it to attack. That's the only concern, is that you're going to end up targeting maybe something that is not your ideal first choice target with this. But yeah, I like the fact that you can add an extra attack there too. So in theory, you know, a skeleton could do like an attack of 4 and poison with this. That's pretty good. I think that's very good. It's not a burn either. Yeah, this is definitely one of those kind of cards again where the element here is what sets it apart. You're going to be looking to use this element, definitely. This isn't one where I would say, hey, just use it for the base effect. Let's try and plan and let's use this element. Okay, so the bottom is the next 3 times your summoned allies suffer damage, ignore the damage, and we can gain up to 2 XP here. That's nice. It keeps your allies around. Could also allow you to do some tanking. So you could just like chuck them in, you know, set up like a tanking situation where your summons go in and then they can basically absorb the damage, give your tank some time off. Could be a bit of a damage sponge for you for a few turns. Yeah, I mean it's a nice effect. I think it's a good effect. This card in general is a good, powerful card, and I think it's going to be a really important card. Whether or not you're going to, you know, this is probably something that you're going to pull out late rather than early, because I think that the top of this card is something that you're going to want to use proactively, and then this is going to be something that when things get tough, this is what's going to come out, I think. Exploding Corpse. Kill one of your summoned allies. Attack 5, target all enemies adjacent to the killed ally. 1 XP and a fire element. Thematic, that makes sense. Cool, I like this. There was actually a summon who has a similar effect. The Spellweaver gets a summon, I think it's at like level 3, the Burning Avatar summon, which when it dies it does an attack around it. It was always quite hard to make that work though, because that character, that summon was a ranged summon, so it was quite rare that something would be next to it unless it literally came up and bonked it. So you could usually keep that summon safe. So it was an effect that I've rarely seen actually, you know, happen. This is much easier to make happen though, because you can move your summons around and you can probably position this into a nice way for this to work. Attack 5, if you could position that summon well, you could maybe get like 4 people with this. I think 4's ambitious, 3's probably where it's going to be, but attack 5 against 3, 1 XP and a burn, that's worth it in my opinion. So this is really nice. Yeah, I mean, it's thematic, it works well. It's a good card. The effect is strong. Yeah, it's good. It's very good. Okay, the next time an enemy dies this round, all allies and enemies adjacent to the enemy who died suffer 2 damage. Now that is good. That is good. That is really good. So the allies and enemies, the allies part of that could screw you up a little bit. Because, you know, you're going to have summons running around the board, and they're, you know, not going to be, you're not going to be able to control them for the whole time. So this could come back and bite you, and it could hurt some of your allies, especially if you have a lot of melee allies. It could cause you some issues, but this is like doing direct damage or pure damage, true damage, whatever you want to call it. Doing direct damage to enemies is one of the strongest things you can do, because it gets through shields, it deals with those tricky enemies, it ignores things like muddle, it ignores disadvantage. You know, it's just a really clean way of dealing damage to troublesome enemies. So this could lead to some really nice turns where you can set stuff up and do some nice little spread damage. Again, I like this Exploding Corpse. Thematically it makes a lot of sense. I think the top of this is very strong. I think the bottom of this is good. It could come back to hurt you a little bit, so you're gonna have to be a bit careful. But I think you could probably play this a few times in a round and get some value out of it. So yeah, I think this is a nice card. I like this card. A Willing Sacrifice. Heal 3 and Bless. Affect all allies within range 2. Great. Really nice, really good heal. That could heal, you know, if you position this well, that could heal, you know, your teammates, your summons. I think that's great. you know. You suffer 2 damage yourself, so again, you're going to have to be a little bit careful with that, but we can recover health ourselves. That's not too much of a problem. We curse ourselves, so that is more of a downside. So this is obviously balanced incredibly. However, the interesting thing is that if we were to bless, let's say, 2 of our skeletons, then we would actually put them into our deck. So we're going to be putting 2 blesses and 1 curse into our deck. So you can kind of mitigate the curse factor because you're going to be probably putting in blesses as well. So it's kind of like you're gonna, you know, you're gonna have good turns and you're gonna have bad turns. The cursing yourself, at least it's only 1 curse. It's not like a curse for each bless. That would be really bad. So I like it. I think it's been balanced. This has been balanced with enough of a drawback with the 2 damage and the curse, so that it's not just a slam dunk play it. You know, there's going to be situations when you won't be able to play it because of the suffer 2 damage. But this has a lot of potential to like really help you out and help a lot of allies out. Everybody loves a bless in their deck, so yeah, I think this is a nice effect. 2 XP as well, so very easy to pull off, and 2 XP. That's basically 2 free XP on that card there. So you do have to do, I believe, part of the effect or all of the effect to get the 2 damage. I'm not sure how they're changing that now, but presumably you could do, I mean, you can do part of this effect, which is just suffer 2 damage or curse yourself to get the 2 XP. Or you have to do the whole, I'm not sure if you have to do the whole action or just part of the action to get the 2 XP. There were some rules changes in the way that XP is being gathered. There's a lot of people who, you know, think it should be one way, you know, where you have to carry out the entire effect to get the XP. Other people say, if, you know, certain cards are actually, you just need to perform certain parts of the action to get the XP, depending on where the XP icon is on the card. Here it's at the bottom. I'm going to kind of presume that you probably have to do the whole action here, actually, the way that it's sort of written. Because otherwise the 2 XP could be like here, for example. So, let's see. But it's like you do this action, then you do this action, then you do this action. So the bottom of this card is one of your summoned allies may perform move 3 with you controlling the action. There we go. Okay, good. We've got a way to rescue our poor corpse, our poor shambling corpse. This raging corpse that has been stuck in the first room we entered at the beginning of the game. We've got a way to move him, folks. So cool. Okay, well this instantly makes that card better. It enables that summon a lot. Move 3 is not you know, it's not incredible, but hey, I mean, that's basically 3 turns to that guy on his own, so that's good. I like the way that it makes the wind element as if he's like, I don't know, sprinting. I don't know, he's turned into one of those fast zombies from what is it, like World War Z or whatever it is. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Nice. So I like the fact that the top of this card can be situationally very, very strong. The bottom of this card is absolutely going to help you throughout the course of the game with moving your summons around. So I think that this is an interesting one, depending on how much you like, I guess depending on if you take the other summon. It's almost like that this card is probably going to be paired with this card. So if at any point you were to probably remove this card from your deck because you no longer wanted to use it, then you'd probably think about removing this too, because I'd argue that moving a skeleton, you may as well just unsummon the skeleton by discarding it because they aren't lost, and then just resummoning it at a later point and suffering the 2 damage was probably better than you doing it. Well, it is definitely better because you get the additional experience point from the summon. So this card is paired with that card in my eyes. Okay, on to the level 2 cards now. So we've got Putrid Cloud. Kill one of your summoned allies. Okay. Probably going to be a skeleton, let's be honest. Attack 2. Poison. Target all enemies adjacent to the killed ally. Nice. So it's like a mini exploding corpse, but except it's a putrid cloud of poison. And it's not a burn card, it's 1 XP. very good. You can just wait for a good opportunity to do this, do it, and you're going to get a nice little effect out of it. So I like it. I think it's good. Interesting that it doesn't target allies, which the other one, this one did allies, right? This one doesn't. You're gonna have to be a bit careful with that, because it's I can certainly see some people making a few little rules mistakes. You know, this little ally clause here might slip through the net a few times. You got to read the card, folks, because I know that for me, that, you know, if I started playing with these, I'd be like, oh, great, and then I do this, and I would almost like just scan over this card and think I know what it does immediately. So that's yeah, that's something to look out for there. That's definitely a rules, a common rules mistake, I reckon. I can see it. I can see it already. Okay, so yeah, I really like that. Combos very well with the skeletons. Also, because we can get the skeletons from our discard pile with that other card, I really like the combo potential here of with this. So I really like the combo potential of, yeah, we use this, we blow up our skeleton, it does a load of damage, then we're going to use our malicious conversion to attack something for 4, and then we get a skeleton back because we've just put a skeleton in our discard pile. You know, this, you know, if you're a Magic player, this kind of class could start to get you. If you ever played like if you ever played Magic the Gathering, if you played like a graveyard deck, which was all about, you know, getting cards into your discard pile and bringing them back into play, this is definitely in that vein as a character, and I think a lot of people will go for that type of character. That's going to have a really wide appeal, and certainly I enjoyed playing those types of decks, so I can see people really enjoying the whole kind of like the looping of the summons here. Okay, the bottom is any enemy that attacks you or any of your summoned allies gains poison. 1 XP for a whole round, and then it's a burn. So so that's okay, but that doesn't feel particularly powerful to me. Any enemy that attacks you or any of your summoned allies gain poison. So let's say you've got like an average board situation where you've got, let's say you've got yourself and you're hanging around at the back because you're a smart necromancer and you're not getting monster focus because you're taking damage all the time from summoning your skeletons, so you're hiding, as you probably should be, and you've got a couple of summons out. This is probably gonna, what, maybe if you know, you've got some low health summons, you've got skeletons that have 3 health, let's say, you know, at level 1, your skeletons might be able to survive a couple of attacks. They'll probably die after 2, but as you scale up the levels, certainly those skeletons are then going to start dying after 1 attack. So this card, the bottom of this card is going to lose a lot of value as you level up. The fact that it's a level 2 card means it's an active choice to take this card as well, over a different card. So interesting. I don't think the bottom of this is particularly great. I think that you might end up only poisoning 2 things, maybe 3 things. You know, we've already seen ways that we can do that, you know, much more effectively with this. Like we could probably do 2 or 3 things with this, and it's not burning a card. I know that we've got our big summon guy on the top here, but you know, these are the kind of decisions you have to sort of like, you know, think about, like, is this something that I want to do? Now, again, it might situationally have some use. The top of this card is very strong and thematic, and it works really well. So perhaps the top of this card is going to be strong enough, and that the bottom might situationally be useful. Okay, Angry Spirits, Summon Wraith. So we've got 1 health, 2 attack, 2 health, 2 range. So this is a range summon. Shield 2. Shield 2 is good. I can see why they've only given it 1 health, so giving it Shield 2. Shield 2 is great. That means that most likely that they can stay alive for a couple of attacks. Definitely take Shield 2 over, you know, Health 3, or maybe even Health 4, to be honest. Shield 2 can really help you out. It's a pretty... I guess my problem with this summon is that, again, it's not particularly... The Shield 2 is nice because it will help it stay alive, but it's a ranged summon, so the chances of it taking too much damage should be quite low. If you're clever with the way you play, and the fact that we've got ways of moving our summons around and doing more attacks, makes me feel like this is not necessarily going to be targeted too much. It's not going to end up finding monster focus too much. Now, it will happen, but, you know, is it going to happen enough to warrant that? So I think this is a bit bog standard. I'm not a huge fan of this summon. Feels a little bit too vanilla to me. The 2 attack, it would have been nice if that was 3. Yeah, I'm not sold on this. This feels like a level 1 summon to me, not a level 2 summon. I'm struggling to see how this is much better than our skeleton. It's, you know, got the shield there and it's got the range, and range summons are better than melee summons for sure. However, a lot of our cards, like we've seen, like this for example, is we want our summons to get in there. You know, we want our summons to be adjacent to enemies, and ranged summons do not want to be adjacent. So anything to do with adjacency here is basically just moot with this summon. You know, this isn't going to happen. So I'm not a fan of this. I don't think it fits our overall plan. I think it's a bit underwhelming. I'm not a fan of this summon at all. Let's hope the bottom is good, huh? So the bottom is 2 of our summoned allies may perform move 2 with you controlling the actions. So that is nice because it's move 2, so it means that we could actually move our shambling corpse. Well, it's not shambling corpse, it's a raging corpse, sorry. We can now move that 2 instead of, you know, it's 1. So that is nice. I mean, that is an enabling effect. This is a bit awkward because I feel like this is thematically, and it just makes much more sense to me. This card really, the top of this in particular, just feels so thematic. It feels strong. It feels like we've got a clear plan. I think it's got a lot of combo potential. I like it. This may well be a necessary evil card though. You know, it's one of those kind of cards where, you know, nobody talks about them, but hey, they help enable you to do good things with your summons. So personally, I'm really siding with Putrid Cloud here because I just really like the card design. But maybe Angry Spirits is going to be the way to go. Okay, Grave Digging, level 3, Summon Shambling Skeleton. So it's another skeleton, exactly the same as the other one. However, the bottom is play a card from your discard pile for its summon action, suffer 1 damage. So there you go. So now we can actually resummon a skeleton for 1 less damage, so usually 2, and we make the leaf element, which is an element that we need. Really cool. An extra skeleton I think is great. It means that basically we'll always be able to have skeletons. Like once you get up to like 4 skeletons, I mean, whether or not you need 4, I don't know. This is going to be one of those kind of classes where without playing it, I'm going to struggle to see you know, what's the right number of shambling skeletons. I don't know. We'll find out. But this is really, really cool. Again, thematic, it makes sense. I like the fact that we can mitigate the 2 damage with this, and we get to make the earth the element, which can help power us up for another turn. So I like this. Whether or not we need the 4th skeleton though, I don't know yet. Okay, Bone Dagger, attack 3 and curse. We add +1 attack for each of your summoned allies. Okay, so this could be this could be a big attack, you know. This could be like an attack of 6 with curse. For 1 XP in nighttime, that's pretty good. It is a melee attack though, so you know you are putting yourself in harm's way potentially to do this. Yeah, it could be a really big attack. So this has upside, you know, this has potential. Whether or not it's gonna, I mean, I guess you're probably gonna have maybe 2 summons at any one time. It's my general feeling. I think you will have turns where you'll have 3, but I struggle to see how you're going to get 4 out unless you can, you know, really soak up the damage, and you get lucky that you have a tank or something in your party so that your summons don't wander off and kill themselves on an enemy or something like that. Gain some monster focus and kill themselves through that, or walk onto a trap or do something dopey, you know. So I think it's most likely it's probably going to be like an attack of, you're going to try and play this for an attack +3 to make it 6. I think. And the bottom is attack 1. If the target dies this round, when it does, play a summon shambling skeleton action from your card in your discard pile without suffering the damage. So, again, very nice. I think this is better than the other one because it's got an attack on it already. So you've got an attack of 1. So in theory, you could maybe, if you ended a turn next to a low health enemy, maybe you could just knock it on the head and get this. But I like the fact that it's got an attack on it. So maybe you attack something for 1, maybe do a little bit of damage. Then you can play a high attack card and kill it yourself. Because it's only if the target dies this round. It's not, you don't have to kill it using this card. It's just if that target dies this round. So you could always just hit something for like 1 damage and you could say, hey, teammates, kill this guy, please. And, you're gone. It is on the bottom, so it does mean that you can't move away. You're going to struggle because I don't think this character had any move on the tops of the cards. So you are going to be stuck in place here. But yeah, this is something that you could quite easily do. 29's a nice initiative. You could go early. You can say, I want to go pretty early, guys. I'm going to hit this guy. Could you please kill this guy, please? And then you get your free skeleton out of it. I like it. I think it works well with the strategy we're employing. Out of these 2 cards, this is tough because obviously you want the skeleton. This helps you summon again. Tough. I don't know. These 2 cards are very close. Depends on if you need that extra skeleton, right? That's what's going to burn down to. Like, how many skeletons is the right number of skeletons? I don't know yet. So that's what it'll probably come down to. Okay. Wretched Advance. All summoned allies may perform move +1. Nice. Okay. So we're going to get a decent amount of movement there. Attack 0 with you controlling the action. Suffer 2 damage, 2 XP, and a burn. So it's all summoned allies. So maybe more skeletons is the best. If you're going to be playing cards like this, you want all of the skeletons, right? Yeah, I mean, this could be. I mean, if you had 4 summons out, 3-4 summons out, this is very strong indeed. Depends on what your deck's going to look like, which we'll take a look in a minute at what the combat decks are going to look like for this character. But yeah, it's very strong. 2 XP, man. This is understandable. This has really good combo potential, really high upside. This could be an extremely powerful turn if you manage to pull this off with 3 or even 4 summons. And typically the reason why you wouldn't have like 4 summons out was because the summons were always burns in Gloomhaven, whereas in Frosthaven, and for this character, they're not burns. So, if you can just summon them and you could just spend a few turns just summoning. The only concern that I have with this particular character is that it's going to slow games down considerably because you're going to have all of these allies on the board. So when it comes to be the Necromancer's turn, it's going to go great. Okay, they're going to want to move all these things. It's not going to be like a great hindrance, but you're going to have to determine monster focus for each summon. So it is going to add some extra sort of time to your turn to work all of that stuff out. But yeah, there's no drawback really for you having 4 summons out. So if you could do it and you could pull this card out, I think it's brilliant. I think it's very powerful. Very, very powerful. Again, the bottom is one of your summoned allies may perform move 6 with jump, with you controlling the action. Poison, curse, target all enemies move through. Okay, so this is really similar to a brute card called, I think it was Trample was what it was called, which was like a move 4 with jump, and then you would do an attack 2, I think, against all enemies move through, which is much more powerful than this. But moving 6, poison, and if you could, you definitely want the curse on this card. 100% do you want the curse. If you could put 6, well, you won't probably be able to put 6 in because of the amount of movement that you have to do. But let's say 5. If you could get 5 curses into the deck with this, that is insane value. That's really good. That is going to save your team, you know, considerable amount of damage over the course of the scenario potentially. I like that a lot. The poison as well is great. It's going to set up, you know, if you can enter a room and then do this and immediately poison, like, you know, the whole room and curse the whole room, then you are just set up for a very easy fight. A very, very easy fight. So this is strong. The top and bottom of these cards are both incredibly strong. They're both burns though, so, you know, that is worth bearing in mind that this is probably going to be a card that's going to sit in your hand for a little while. It may even go through a couple of rotations before you feel like, yes, now's the time to play it. Like, this is the right time. Flesh Shield. So anytime you suffer damage, you may have one of your summoned allies suffer the damage instead. 2 XP. And it's a burn. And this is, I believe this stays out permanently. So this is a permanent effect indicated by the infinity symbols here. I don't think I mean, you get them on summons and things. Oh, wow, I missed it on this one. Oh, Jesus. Okay. Ah, so this good job I noticed that. Good job I noticed that, because this was, I was ripping on the bottom of this card a bit because I didn't think it was very strong. But actually, because this is a permanent effect, this could be incredibly strong. This could really, this could add up. If you got this early in this scenario, this could really add up. Okay, absolutely, this Putrid Cloud card now is slam dunk the pick over Angry Spirits. This is way better. This is like way better. Yeah, okay, I love this card now. Okay, I missed that one. I'm gonna scroll back and see if I missed any other like persistent effects. Just a summon, but you know, that's typical. Yeah, just the summons. But wow, okay, I can't believe I missed that. That makes that card incredible. Really good. Especially if you're just making all of these. You can literally just throw skeletons at people and just let them get poisoned. That's cool. This card is really cool now. I am sold on Putrid Cloud. So let's talk about this one as well, which is anytime you suffer damage, you may have one of your summoned allies suffer damage instead. That is that could actually, in theory, you could probably go infinite with skeletons now, right? In like the combo potential with summons with this card is pretty nuts, because you have to take 2 damage every time that you summon something. But let's say I had you know, I had this card out. You know, I've played a summon, I've played this card, and now I'm going to play another summon. I can just say, hey, that first summon that I took, that I summoned, that'll take the 2 damage. Okay, great. So that goes in, does some damage, gets killed by an enemy. Okay, great. I'm gonna you know, rest or whatever. I'm gonna resummon it, and I'm gonna take the 2 damage. It's gonna go off of the next summon, the one that I just used. You could easily cycle this damage around your summons with this card to a point where you would probably never take damage. If you went down like, you know, 3-4 skeleton route easily, you'd be able to ensure that you never took damage. In fact, I mean, I don't know, you probably couldn't tank, because I feel like if you were to take a lot of damage from enemies, you know, you've got low health minions, so they're gonna die. So I don't think you could use this as like a tanking card where you could just go in and just be like, okay, great, I'm just going to go in, I'm going to take damage, and I'm just going to let my summons die instead. I feel like you'd still end up taking too much damage. But in terms of like being able to summon your skeletons just indefinitely and never have to worry about it, this card is amazing. And get 2 XP as well just for playing it. Just here you go, free 2 XP. Really good, really good. And the bottom of this is the next time one of your summoned allies takes damage this round, and negate the damage, and you suffer 1 damage. So interesting, you can kind of reverse the effect slightly there. This one isn't a burn. And it stays out basically until the next time one of your summoned allies. Have I missed that as well? No, okay. Yeah. So this is the round symbol. I'm just wondering if I missed any of those ones, because there were a few that were like, if something happened this round, blah, 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 this turn. I don't think I missed those. I think I'm okay with those. Yeah, this one as well. There's somebody's okay. No, it's okay. I didn't miss that. All right. So so this stays out basically indefinitely until one of your summoned allies takes damage. So again, this could be quite good for situations in which you say you've got your corpse out, your raging corpse. You've got that guy out. You know, this can help keep it alive for even longer. I do like it, but the top of this is amazing. The top of this card is actually amazing. It completely solves all the issues, and it could be a. I mean, I don't want to presume that this class is broken. And that there is potentially infinite loop combinations available. I mean, you'd still eventually exhaust yourself, right? Eventually you will exhaust yourself. So there's no way that you can infinitely play and just carry on with this. However, this does mean that you would never have to take those healing actions. So you could just go all damage. You could just go all summons all the time and not worry about it. So this is I mean, compared to this has some, don't get me wrong, this has some really good potential too. This card has some fantastic potential. But this is like a broken combo to me. Like, this just means you'd never have to heal, pretty much, if you play smart, which I don't think is going to be particularly hard to do. So, yeah, that's pretty crazy. So this character is... Yeah. The more like the way that I came into this character is that, you know, I knew that it was called the Necromancer, right? Again, I'm not particularly happy with the naming of. I mean, the character is very thematic to that, but I'm kind of disappointed that they couldn't come up with some sort of cool Gloomhaven, Frosthaven-ified version of a Necromancer. You know, slightly, I don't know what you want to call it, but something else. But anyway. The more I start getting into this character, the more I really like what I see. Like, at first, when I first started reading about this character, I was a little bit kind of like, he summons, and I was never really a fan of summons in Gloomhaven, but the way that we can keep resummoning and it combos so well together, just looks like it's going to be a lot of fun, and it's just going to be really interesting, and potentially, I think out of all of the different characters that I've seen in the starting characters, this has the potential to be the most broken, I believe, out of all of them, just because of the fact that this card here could essentially make you go infinite with your summons without having to worry about healing. You know, summons can do you know, crazy things, you know, like take big attacks, you know, can help you tank, can help you do all these crazy things. If you have this out, you could, you know, you could walk into a huge attack because you know a huge attack's coming and just, you know, fob off one of your skeletons. Because let's say I took an attack of like 6, right? Or I took let's say I've got this card out and, you know, a huge big boss comes up to me and draws their double damage and hits me for 12 damage or something crazy like that, right? Usually you'd be like, I'm gonna burn a card, I'm dead, or whatever. If you have this card out, you just go, okay, I do 12 damage to my 1 health skeleton that's over there. Oh, he's dead. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. So this card is, you know, this card is crazy strong, potentially. I mean, the other card is crazy strong too, as I said, but yeah. So the more I've been reading about this class, the more excited I've become about it, and I do think that this possibly might need to be nerfed a little bit. I don't know. Until I start playing with it, I don't really know how broken it could be, but we'll see. Let's go into the perks, because it'd be interesting to see how consistent we can be, because obviously we're going to be doing lots of small attacks, so we want to hopefully see some plus cards here. So perks, we've got remove 2 -1 cards. That's good. We're sort of, you know, we're removing the negatives, so we're sort of moving towards that 0 where we want to be, or the +1 is where we really want to be. Remove 1 -2. That's great. So now we've only got, I think we've only got 2 -1s and the miss. If we take, oh, hang on, because we've got, yeah. So essentially we can get rid of all of our -1s and our 1 -2. So now we only have misses, 1 miss, 1 double damage. We have our zeros and we have our +1s and our +2. So this is really good. We can basically remove everything apart from a miss that would probably cause us to not do damage on an attack with a skeleton or something like that. Replace 1 +0 card with 1 +1 earth card. Again, this is great. We're starting to move towards where we want to be. Replace 1 +0 card with 1 +1. Again, so it's the same but just a different element. Add 1 +1 heal 1 self card. No. This is like, this feels to me like a trap perk. The reason I say that is, 1, at level 4 we're going to be taking the card where we never have to suffer damage anyway, ever again. 2, because they've added this plot of +1 on there, and you feel like, oh, it's a +1, but you're adding cards to your deck, so you're actually, you know, yes, you're going to be making sure that you're going to hopefully consistently hit that +1, but it means you're less likely to draw that +2, and you're less likely to draw your double damage. Yes, you're less likely to draw your zeros and your miss, but I like to keep a combat deck nice and lean and thin and efficient. I like keeping decks, I like to thin them as much as possible, the combat decks, so I know what's in them and I know that what they do is, you know, is good for me. You know, I don't want to have to be having a combat deck like this and just, yeah, I like to know what's in them. So this one is, I think, a little bit of a trap perk. It might be one of the kind of ones where you can do this 4 times, so perhaps actually you might want to do this once or twice, maybe. I don't, yeah, I'm not convinced. I like these ones because they remove them and they give us the elements that we're going to need to do our other cards, and this will actually, you know, once you've thinned your deck and you start putting these in, you know, replacing as well, so you are going to not only increase your damage, but you're going to be increasing you know, you being able to do your powerful effects. So I like these first 4 perks are good. This one I think might be a bit of a trap. Certainly with the build that I've got my eye on anyway. Add 2 poison rolling modifier cards. Not a huge fan. Add 1 +3 card. That's pretty good. I certainly prefer that over this, I think. I would rather, if you're going down the lean route, you don't want to add too many cards. I know that if you go down the lean route, the rolling modifiers can sometimes be quite good, but the way that rolling modifiers and advantage works and stuff like that is sometimes a bit of a, you know, it sometimes can screw you over. So personally, I think I would probably go for the +3 here. I mean, if you have a look at like how many perks we can get, we can go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And maybe you'd go 9, 10. Maybe. Or maybe you'd go 9, 10 with the heal 1 selves, depending on what card you took at level 4. But, yeah. These perks are super condensed compared to the other classes. Look, I mean, we've got, like, so much room for activities down here. So, we don't have the ignore negative scenario effect perk, which I think we are the only character without that. We are indeed the only character without that. Oh no. Oh sorry, no, this is from Jaws of the Lion. So this is from there. Yeah, we're the only one without that. Interesting. Probably because negative effects probably like do damage and stuff to you, and it's probably not going to be too much of a big deal if you're at the back. Okay, wow. I feel like this class seems really strong. It seems really strong. It seems fun. It seems like there's a lot of combo potential in there. There's a lot of synergy. It seems very thematic. I think this is up there as probably this could be my second favorite. Ooh, these two are my favorites so far that I've seen. The Geminate, I really like because it thematically makes a lot of sense. I love the switching of the two states. I think that's really interesting to me. I think that's going to prove like a unique challenge. I feel like this one though is very like the Necromancer seems very like condensed, like it knows what it's got to do, right? It's compared to the other, so compared to perhaps the other classes, this one has much more of a linear build to me, or at least that I can see, much more of a kind of, this is probably the build you want to go. It doesn't have as many directions. At the moment, that might change as we go up in levels, but at the moment it feels like it has more of a direction towards, you want to use your skeletons and you want to get them round and you want them to get attacking and then blow them up and do damage and then get them back again and cycle them round, and that sounds a lot of fun to me. My only concern with this character is that the admin of having lots of summons on the board can sometimes really slow down a game. I hope it doesn't particularly, but that's just one of those things I've noticed by playing Gloomhaven, is that sometimes if you want to, if you want to play a speedy game of Gloomhaven, then summons is not where you want to be, because it's another thing on the board you got to move and you got to think about, so it can just slow down games. The only concern is that if you were a newer player, perhaps I can see like the suffering 2 damage element to it might really kind of like warn you off this character. You might be thinking, oh, why would I want to take 2 damage for like a crappy summon? You know, it doesn't seem very good. I feel like it's just because they are it's just the way that they are balancing this character, and it thematically makes sense with the way that they're balanced. It makes a lot of thematic sense the way they're trying to balance it too. So I wouldn't be too worried about that. Use your life force here as a resource, as anyone who plays Magic will tell you. Your life points are a resource in Magic, and in this character definitely embodies that. I think if you are a Magic player potentially coming into Gloomhaven or Frosthaven and you're interested in this character definitely seems like the most kind of similar to like a green-black deck from Magic, but it seems this is a really interesting character. So between the Geminate and the Necromancer, I think I'm leaning towards the Geminate as my favorite, but just because of I like the idea of having the 2 sets of 7 cards. But man, this Necromancer is really cool. So yeah, put your comments down below. What do you think of the Necromancer? I'd like to know what you guys think. Is it powerful? Is there potentially that infinite kind of combo sort of thing going on there? I think it could be a bit too strong, but we'll see. But yeah, so that was the Necromancer. Okay, so that's the last of the series. We are done. It's been a long old series, so congratulations if you've actually managed to watch all of these. I talked for a very long time on all of the different characters, so it's been a bit of an ordeal, I'm sure, but it's been great getting to really dig into these characters as a first impression and kind of get my thoughts and feelings on how they're going to be and what they're going to be like compared to the Gloomhaven ones. So what I will be doing probably is a smaller video that I'm going to condense some of these thoughts. I'll probably do a little kind of conclusions video where I will kind of maybe rank the characters a little bit. We'll talk a little bit more, and I'll try and make that one a much shorter video and maybe do a bit of editing on it. But that is, the Necromancer is the last one. So I really like the idea of this character. I think it's incredibly thematic. It's potentially the most thematic out of all of the starting classes. The Geminate's up there though, it's definitely very close. I feel like this class and the Geminate are going to run very close in terms of what class I want to play when I start playing Frosthaven. So let me know what you think about all of the different classes in the comments below. But thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you like this video, please do like it. Please also subscribe if you'd like to see more content and you'd like to keep up to date with me. I also stream regularly on Twitch at www.twitch.tv/mandatoryquest. I stream there every Monday, Wednesday and Sunday, so come check us out and say hi. And if you've got any questions you want to ask me live, then there's the place. We play Gloomhaven and other games too, so it's a nice fun place, so come hang out. But yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll be back with a conclusion video at some point. So thanks guys, cheers.